XRP ने 500 मिलियन रेज किए, इसका किसी को कोई घंटा नहीं फर्क पड़ रहा. द ओनली थिंग दैट मैटर्स इज कि विल दे बाय बैक. तो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट लिटिल बिट अबाउट leverage trading, how it works, what are perps, how is it different from like normal futures.
So in leverage, you'll hear a lot of people saying कि 40x trade लगाई हुई है या 50x trade लगाई हुई है या 10x trade लगाई हुई है, whatever it is. What are these X's, right? This
Yes,
is something I
yes.
tell everybody who tell me कि you know I want to buy leverage trade. I tell them, bhai, please.
Trading is a job. Investing is more of a hobby.
If it's a 5x, let's say 20%. What happens in that leverage trade is as soon as the price falls down 20%, your book goes to zero, right? And that is what happens in most leverage trades. You know, you're not looking at the risk, you're just looking at the reward, and you end up trading a lot of money into losses.
I almost feel like there's a revenge trading aspect to leverage trading in this cycle, that people were so used to the gains or the excess from previous cycles that in this cycle, जब वो नहीं आ रहा है, वो बंद हो गया है. Airdrops have killed all ICO, and token prices on launch.
Aster पे I think there is 1000x या something. चल अपन ये बता दे perp DEXs, difference between perp DEXs and the basically the coming of Hyperliquid and how it's changed the market.
What happens on a perp DEX is you are effectively trading against coagulated pool of liquidity. Hyperliquid also, even though it's decentralized, on multiple occasions has exhibited certain interference measures, right? Because in certain black swan events, they do interfere and close position. I can only comment on two things. Like I've been saying, all BTC pairs, so dominance will keep on increasing. I've been saying from day one. We're yet to see dominance go up because that is what will cause perceived flight to safety. OGs are exiting, right?
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे बाप होते हैं.
चलो, बाप्स ऑफ क्रिप्टो पॉडकास्ट नंबर क्या है? 8 हो गया है. 8 नंबर 8 भाई. यानी यहाँ तक क्या लगता है इतने लंबे सफर में कैसे पहुंचे आप, और आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा? बहुत कुछ सीखा.
कमेंट में टाइप करें प्लीज.
हाँ, कमेंट में टाइप करें, लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब करें और नरकुंडी को गाली बकें कि ये जो मार्केट की हालत है ये उसकी वजह से, because he buys Bitcoin every day, so that is why it's going lower.
The day he stops, maybe we'll see some upside movement.
Yeah.
Giga pumps.
Yeah. So obviously we are not talking about anything political, or this in no ways like क्या बोलते हैं represents my political view, but just क्योंकि मेरी feed पर सुबह शाम आ रहा था कि जोरान ममदानी जीत गया, तो हम देसी लोग बड़े खुश है कि एक देसी वापस से मेयर बन गया. एक और दिस इज द सेम लाइक the takeover has started. ऋषि सुनक भी बना था तो हम बहुत खुश हुए थे. फिर दामाद जी हमारे दामाद जी बन गए थे.
कैश पटेल भी बना तब भी खुश हुए.
या तो ये है, तो आज जोरान ममदानी बन गया क्योंकि, और ये बात इसलिए हुआ कि
कैश पटेल पे तो लोग ज्यादा खुश हुए जब उसकी गर्लफ्रेंड देखी लोगों ने.
हाँ
इसको मिल सकती है तो हमें मिल सकती है.
yes he is an inspiration for all desi people, like कि इसकी ऐसी गर्लफ्रेंड कंट्री स्टार और कंट्री सिंगर हमारी भी होगी एक दिन. व्हाई नॉट. ठीक है, तो जोरान ममदानी जीत गया. एक वीडियो देखा था मैंने कि वो धूम पे एंट्री कर रहा है या एग्जिट कर रहा है, कुछ एग्जिट कर रहा है. आई वाज लाइक रियली हैप्पी कि इसने धूम मचा दिया. फिर बाद में मालूम पड़ा कि फेक वीडियो है. एनीवेज
चलेगा.
कर देता तो मजा.
But have you guys seen did you guys see those जो उसकी political speech थी with what's the other guy, Como something, I don't remember that, I don't know how to pronounce that name. He butchered and murdered him, bro. I mean, again, not political, it's just funny to see that shit.
Yeah. पता नहीं उसको नफरत तो सॉलिड है उसको एंड्रू कोमो से. यानी कोई भी इंटरव्यू में मैं देख रहा था उसके, तो वो he was not like really disrespecting anyone. बोल रहा था कि हाँ देख लेंगे, कर लेंगे, काम कर लेंगे, ये वो. पर जब भी एंड्रू कोमो की बात आती तो वो तो साला सांप है, ये सांप है.
तो अलग ही एलिगेशंस ये सब कर रहे हैं. एक वीडियो में लोग को क्वेश्चन पूछा कि if you have to go to New York Mets game or Yankees, which one will you go? उसमें भी Andrew Kumo बोलते हैं I'll do half and half, first half वहाँ पे, second half. Then he like just pick a team. Like there is no wrong
Yeah.
answer here. He
एक
found the
एक
wrong answer.
एक बात तो देसे हो कि इन एनी काइंड ऑफ लाइक पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अक्रॉस द ग्लोब, लाइक वो वहां के लोगों से ज्यादा दे आई फील कि देर मोर स्मार्टर, कि जब वो बात भी करते हैं एकदम प्रॉपर्ली कर रहे हैं, लाइक दे नॉट इवन लाइक ऑफेंडिंग एनीवन, बट लाइक दे सेइंग द राइट थिंग्स एटलीस्ट।
अबे तो उसकी रीजन है ना, बचपन से ट्रेन हुए होते हैं, घरों में इतने कलेश हो रहे होते हैं। they know exactly how to deal
या
with debates.
या ट्रू ट्रू ट्रू। सो एक और गुड न्यूज फॉर XRP maxis like you. Tony Ripple raised $500 million at a $40 billion valuation from Fortress Investment Group and Citadel Securities. क्या उन्होंने ये बोला है कि ये 500 मिलियन से वो XRP खरीदेंगे अपने ट्रेजरी के लिए कि नहीं?
Good point.
ये
और
और हाँ हाँ कि ये 500 मिलियन का XRP ने 500 मिलियन रेज किए, इसका किसी को कोई घंटा नहीं फर्क पड़ रहा। द ओनली थिंग दैट मैटर्स इज कि विल दे बाय बैक विद दिस मनी। Yeah.
But right, what they're doing is like अभी recently वो जो 1.1 billion dollar की investment आई थी XRP पे by one other fund group. I don't remember their name. तो उसमें वो यही बोल रहे थे कि वो 1.1 billion का buy अगर XRP का होगा, there'll be like crazy amount of pump that XRP will see. But about a week or 4 days before that event was supposed to happen, where that the fund was supposed to transfer, so there were like massive amount of XRPs that were moved from the Ripple escrow account and basically ended up into these guys' accounts. So what is happening is they're not really buying it off the market or giving them XRP. The funding is, yes, they're getting the funds, and the transfer happens through the escrow XRP that is in their escrow, basically treasury sort of thing. They're paying it off from there. So that is why you're not seeing a lot of move on the market itself.
Got it. And I don't think they plan also to do any buybacks, right?
No, I don't think so right now.
बीच में कभी सुन रहा था मैं, पर like यार
उनका जो escrow move है, that is specifically designed for this. Like they have like billions in their escrow that they're going to use. I mean, they don't need to buy back. They don't need to do all of that. That is lying there. And I know I'm an XRP maxi, and I know I keep saying that it's going to go to 5, 10, whatever dollars. But at the same time, being very realistic, you also have to understand that they are also very much aligned in keeping the price to a very specific price point, because wahan pe phir then everything is manageable for them as well.
Got it. Manageable in like what sense?
Manageable in the sense that if they're trying to keep the price at a certain price point, because they're not buying back, right? So whatever the amount is there is in the XRP escrow that they're using, and they can't really push the price up, so they're not really doing that much. So agar price push ho jati hai, then basically it just ends up having a lot more trouble for them in order to keep pushing the price lower or to keep it under their control. So they're keeping their price वो $2 से $3 के बीच के भी उसमें रख रहे हैं प्राइस को.
Got it. यार रियलिस्ट मैं एक चीज देखता हूँ, अपन ये फियर और ग्रीड इंडेक्स देखते हैं, राइट? तो अभी जैसे फियर और एक्सट्रीम फियर पे, हाउ डू दे कैलकुलेट दिस? लाइक इसका कोई क्या मेट्रिक यूज करके कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं ये?
There are multiple data points that go into it. Like BTC dominance is one, right? So if stuff is moving towards so a higher BTC dominance point of time is considered as extreme fear, because people are moving towards the king, right? And dumping the overall market. RSI, which is oversold and overbought, that is a condition that's used. So stuff like that. I think it's and every website has a different way of calculating it. The mechanism to calculate it. So when CMC does it, they even publish all the ingredients, so to speak, that go into the fear greed index. So in the regular markets, in the equity markets, they'll probably have how much gold is being bought, right? So that is also an indicator in terms of how safe or how risk off the markets are becoming, which basically means fear. When there's greed, everyone's completely risk on. So ये सारी चीजों का एक मिश्रण is what goes into the fear and greed index.
क्योंकि अभी इक्विटी मार्केट्स भी लाइक एक्सट्रीम फियर, आज देख रहा था मैं कहीं पे कि इक्विटी मार्केट्स आर एट एक्सट्रीम फियर एंड S&P इज जस्ट लाइक व्हाट 2-3% कितना 5%, आई डोंट नो, लाइक ऑफ फ्रॉम इट्स ऑल टाइम हाई. सो
exactly
yeah
-1 या -2 I think
2% होगा, I think. Yeah.
Like
All
5
Because
because
I
rupees
think
of
per day.
everyone's
Palantir and
gotten,
Nvidia, all because of Palantir and Nvidia stocks
yeah,
falling down.
Yeah, Palantir
everyone's
CEO like वो
gotten,
जाके address कर रहा है.
everyone's gotten so educated about crashes and bear markets, right? Because we've seen 2000, we've seen
Hmm.
2008, we've seen 2020, right? 2020 was not in our control, but it still happened, right?
Yeah.
Even during that time, we even saw what oil futures did while going into negative. Spot wasn't
Hmm.
down as much, but oil futures were, they went into negative.
Yeah.
So I think because of this, even when tops are being formed, ideally tops are usually formed in stages of extreme euphoria. But
Hmm.
because people are so educated right now because of all of these things, even the slightest fall, people start calling tops. Right? It's
Yeah.
not because people have
That
become
is true.
smarter; they've just become more aware. That's it.
Got
People are
it.
so, but again, the smart money knows that people are getting smarter because I'm sure the smart money which was moving the markets in 2000s, it's the same people who were moving the markets in 2008.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
absolutely.
the same people, but the same
Yes.
people with a similar mindset were moving the markets then as well as in 2008. But between 2000 and 2008, they knew that people became smarter. So they changed the ball game a bit. Similarly, in during COVID, when people were sort of panic selling the bottom, the day the lockdowns were announced, that day was the bottom for almost every chart, right? That was the eventful bottom, and
Yeah.
people again used that. So everybody who thought so, and in 2020, everybody went into knowing that अरे हमने तो 2008 देख लिया है, हमने बहुत चार्ट एनालिसिस कर ली है, तो अभी हमको पता है अगली बार मेरे को ऐसा क्रैश मिलेगा मैं खरीद लूंगा. आया 2020 क्रैश आया सबने बेच दिया, कोई उधर नहीं खरीदा. So now again from that also people have become smarter. So smart money knows how to sort of game this, so which is why we've always been discussing for the past couple of days is that that euphoric phase is pending because now everybody feels like they're a smart bear. Like if
Yeah.
they've not made money being a smart bull, they're like, I'm going to be a smart bear because I know how this
Yes.
thing works, right?
Yeah,
But I don't
yeah.
know. I think smart money is smarter.
Yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, and to be honest, I think a lot of people got smart during the Robin Hood and the GameStop scenario. I mean,
Yeah, they
that
thought that
was
they
an
were
art.
smart.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
thought they just lucked in. That's it. They just lucked in because
why not? They were
had it
like,
been replicable,
exactly.
those people would have been doing it again and again. The answer is no, right? I
No, they
mean,
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. Exactly.
exactly
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean everyone feels that the buck stops with them and the measure of excellence sort of stops with them. But the answer is no. Like smart money is also getting smarter, right? So
I
I
always
think
say there's
it's
always, weight at both ends. If this goes up, this will also go up along with it.
also go up exactly. It's like that quantum computing discussion, right?
Yeah,
Things are
yeah.
getting
Hmm.
like the people getting sort of fished will or the systems getting fished will also get smarter. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I was seeing yesterday कि पता नहीं, I don't know how true this is, but BlackRock bought 40,000 BTC worth 4 billion at an average price of $100,000 yesterday. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
could be.
Yeah,
That
but
could be possible. I
I
mean,
mean,
and
it's
it was a
technically
very
not
lucrative buy
BlackRock buying,
price
right?
yesterday. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
yesterday
it's,
was a
it's
very
technically not
lucrative buy
BlackRock
price.
buying.
Yeah,
Somebody's told them to buy. Somebody's basically
yeah.
subscribed.
It's one of that minds
Yeah,
buying for it. Yeah.
yeah,
और ठीक है भाई. चलो अब यहाँ पे हमने कलेक्टिवली
yeah,
प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस दोनों बहुत बनाया लेवरेज ट्रेडिंग पे. सो
correct.
आज लाइक हम एक तो ये साइकिल में एक चीज देख रहा था. पीपल वर ईदर ओनली ट्रेडिंग मीम्स और फ्यूचर्स और पर्प्स, राइट? ये
Yeah,
पूरे साइकिल में रिटेल लाइक सो नॉट द तेरे नॉर्मी रिटेल नहीं आया, बट ऑल द रिटेल दैट यू कंसिडर लाइक
yeah.
KOLs
It's
and
retail. Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
retail,
Retail.
right?
Yeah,
It's needed. And
Yeah.
people who've
correct.
been there in the last cycle who moved to
Yeah,
this cycle.
retail,
Yeah.
yeah, retail who was there in the last cycle is still retail in this cycle. So
True.
they have now graduated from trading spots to like just memes or futures, right? And one of the reasons for that has been because they want like obviously like much more bang for their buck, because spots में and obviously वो 2 3x 4x में उनको मजा नहीं आ रहा, उनको 10x 20x 100x चाहिए, राइट? सो हमने सोचा कि आज ऑब्वियसली और भी बहुत लोग होंगे जो लेवरेज ट्रेडिंग में घुसना चाह रहे होंगे, तो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट लिटिल बिट अबाउट लेवरेज ट्रेडिंग, हाउ इट वर्क्स, what are perps, how is it different from like normal futures जो आप बाजार में देखते हो, and perp DEXs, difference with sexes, Hyperliquid, Aster, and all of that. So who wants to go first? Narkundi
I
or
think
Chariyalis?
Yes.
Start with
Daddy should start.
yeah,
Daddy
Daddy
should
should
start.
start.
Acha. So
25x.
first, okay, to understand what is leverage trading, right, and how it works is basically you have your basic spot trading. Just may you buy a certain set of asset or a protocol or a token, whatever you're trading in, and you buy at its current price, and you can wait for it to go up and then sell at a higher price, right? And that is your basic spot trading, right?
And you hold the
Uh,
asset.
and you hold the asset, right? You're basically
Right.
buying a product, holding it for a certain period of time. It can be for 1 minute or it can be for 1 year, and you sell it in profit. And that is the basic idea to get the profit out of that, right?
Yes.
Leverage trading gets a little tricky because what you're doing is essentially you're buying the asset.
No, you're
A,
not buying it.
so
So
you're,
asset buying, taking
you're
a
buying a contract basically.
Price
I'll explain that.
contract.
yes.
So basically, what you're doing is you're taking a price, right?
Hmm.
And you're saying, let's suppose एक asset है वो $10 का है, for example, and you're saying कि यार ये $10 जो है वो मुझे लगता है अगले 1 घंटे में या अगले 4 घंटे में या अगले एक दिन में ये $10 जो है वो या तो $20 हो जाएगा, ठीक है, या इस एसेट की प्राइस गिर जाएगी और 10 से ये $5 पे चला जाएगा, राइट? And that is the sort of bet you're taking in a leverage trade. कि यार क्या ये ऊपर जाएगा, क्या ये नीचे जाएगा? And that is what we call either long or short. Long means when it's going up, and short means when the price is going down, right? Then comes the second part of leverage trade. So in leverage, you'll hear a lot of people saying कि 40x trade लगाई हुई है या 50x trade लगाई हुई है या 10x trade लगाई हुई है, whatever it is. What are these X's, right? So you have a certain amount of capital with you, right? Let's say आपके पास $100 for example, and you want to go for a leverage trade. Let's for example's sake, let's say 5x leverage trade आपने लेनी है for an asset that is priced at $10 right now. अगर आप उस $10 के asset को 5x leverage trade करना चाह रहे हैं, now you have the option of either longing it or shorting it. Longing again meaning that you're expecting the price to go higher, and shorting is meaning you're expecting the price to fall further down. So let's suppose we take a 5x long trade on that $10 asset value. What happens in that 5x? Basically, you put in your $100, right? And what you're doing is you're borrowing the remaining into multiply 5 or 5 multiple of that 100 from the platform that you're basically trading at. So it can be the SEX, it can be the DEX or whatever. How different things work, we can get into more detail. But basically, you're borrowing that additional, say, $40 or $400 from or $500 from the platform itself. And in return, what will happen is they will charge you a funding fee to fund that book that you're bookmaking. Plus, there will be an interest sort of rate that is going to be paid off, that is calculated on 4-hourly or 8-hourly basis, so forth and so on, depending on the different platforms. And
कितनी देर
whatever
आपको
trade
trade
you
hold
make,
करते हो?
and basically whatever trade you make, right? So let's suppose now that $10 asset moves to $20, right? So it doubled in value. During this double value, right, what happened is because you had taken a 5x long trade, your capital investment moves 5 times higher. So your capital investment multiplies by 5 times. Similarly, if the price had fallen down, let's say if it's a 5x, let's say 20%. What happens in that leverage trade is as soon as the price falls down 20%, your book goes to zero. Why? Because the book that was opened is not for $100, it's for $500, right? And when we're taking 5x, what happens is basically every x is a multiplier, right? So जब वो नीचे जाता है, that happens, when that happens, basically your capital amount is getting reduced. And as soon as it reaches 20%, which is your capital amount, your book gets liquidated. Right? You'll hear a lot of these things where people are saying, yeah, we got liquidated. I got 100 million liquidated. I got 200 million liquidated. You'll see all these posts on X. And that's what basically is happening is that they're betting large amounts of their capital with extremely high leverage X's, right? And then when the price falls even a certain percentage, they get liquidated. And that becomes very risky. As long as you know how to read the charts and you know where the market sentiment is, how the markets are moving, it's an okay way of trading. And I see why people want to move to leverage rather than spots. That said कि पहले लोग spots में trade कर रहे थे, and now most of them are trading either meme coins or leverage. And the reason behind that is because in the last 2 cycles there was ICOs and there were product launches where you could have seen a token getting launched and get 30-40x right at the beginning, right? So if somebody putting $100 could easily get like $3,000-4,000 in return. But in today's market, those sort of tokens launches are not happening. So people don't make that sort of money. So what is the next bet to make that sort of money? Most cases is either you take meme coins, they move, let's say, from 600K market cap to $100 million market cap. That's a big move. You make a lot of money there. You have major examples. You have Trump, you have Jelly Jelly. Just recently, we've seen the pump on Jelly Jelly, right?
Kal raat mein.
Exactly. And I was talking about it 2-3 days ago as well.
Yeah.
So, and so, or you leverage trade, where you take your capital and you take the bet कि हाँ price या तो ऊपर जाएगी या तो नीचे जाएगी market के move के हिसाब से, and I go max leverage and I'll make some money. And it's to be honest, it's a lot of the people who are trading they are not really trading, they're gambling away their money on leverage trade. That's what I would assume, right? And that is what happens in most leverage trades. You're not looking at the risk, you're just looking at the reward, and you end up trading a lot of money into losses.
Yeah, but there was this metric that किसी ने निकाला था कि over 90% या कुछ ऐसा था कि of people lose money in trading. I don't know if was it for
in
crypto.
TradFi also, right?
I'll tell you.
I don't know
हाँ, TradFi is bad.
Yeah. I don't know हाँ वो
basic
crypto के
example.
लिए था कि TradFi था या इंडिया में Zerodha ने निकाला था या किसी ने निकाला
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
no,
Zerodha.
In the dark,
It was
yeah.
Zerodha.
They were looking at their own database and sort of
Yeah.
database with users and sort of commenting on it.
Yeah, it seemed like I was just looking at it yesterday, and this is one thing that I look at when I'm trading on leverage, right? So let's suppose a token is, let's say, for example, Jelly Jelly. Yesterday, right? Last night I was looking. I remember 2-3 days ago I said I'm going to short Jelly Jelly. I didn't, because it kept moving up, right? And yesterday I had an option of opening 2 trades, right? There was a token, so there's Jelly Jelly, and then there's a new token that's coming in that I could buy spot and I could just keep and hold, right? And I was thinking, where do I put the money in? So my basically analysis was, okay, I'm going to put X amount of capital, right? And this is a spot that I'm buying. If it does 3x, I make this much money, right? Jelly Jelly was sitting at, I think, 30 or 40 cents at that point in time.
50 bhai. Kal raat mein 50 chale.
The time when I was looking, it was sitting at 38-40 cents. So I was like, however, if I short this, right, I'm not going to over leverage myself. With this amount of capital, if I short this, the amount of money that I was making was nothing compared to the money that I was making in spots, right? And that is the sort of analysis that you do before entering a trade. What is the risk versus reward, right? But if Jelly Jelly goes points say 30 say or 50 say 80 cents pe jata, I would have been liquidated on that trade, right? The risk was much higher as compared to my spot trade. So I went up and I ended up buying that spot trade. So, and that's what happens. And that is why people lose a lot of money, because they don't understand the risk versus the reward. The market moves so fast, especially in crypto. It's so volatile. It moves so quickly that you end up getting liquidated within seconds. That's what happened on the 10th of October.
Yeah. And one of the things is that basically log profit book bhi nahi karte. The thing with, like, if you see seasoned leverage traders, right, they all keep saying keep booking profits. मैं ना अभी थोड़ी देर पहले नीचे खड़ा था ऑफिस के, और कोई I don't know, like some Russian dude was just like walking and he saw me, like मेरे हाथ में ना फोन था, चार्ट खुला था. He's like, you trading? Yeah, keep booking profit. वो मैंने कहा
well-wisher.
yes. I make too much mistake. Keep booking profit. मैंने कहा भाई.
Two things: keep booking profits, and please use stop loss. They are for your benefit.
Yeah.
People need to use stop loss. People don't put stop loss.
पूरे पैसे जाने से अच्छा आपके थोड़े पैसे जाएं.
Yeah, it's there two things. So keep booking profit, and you should know when to cut your losses. Yes. We've seen that happen with multiple people, where they're trying to save, let's say, $100 or $200, and कि अब यहाँ से return होगा, अब पलटेगा market, अब reverse होगा, and they end up losing $10,000 in that trade. They could have
Yes.
just lost that $200 or $300 and saved a hell lot of money. But that's what it is, that people don't know when to cut losses.
नरकुंडी तू बता दे भाई, लेवरेज ट्रेडिंग तेरी क्या?
Not my forte, but I think if I have to put some thoughts behind it, I think ये cycle में जैसे Anthony ने बोला कि like none of those ICOs, you have a handful of ICOs, who have been successful. I think ये market में, because it's the same money that's changing hands between different metas, be it prediction markets, being memes, I almost feel like there's a revenge trading aspect to leverage trading in this cycle, that people were so used to the gains or the excess from previous cycles that in this cycle जब वो नहीं आ रहा है, वो बंद हो गया है. Airdrops have killed all ICO, and token prices on launch. So now it's like, okay, how do we go? And it really blows my mind कि BitMEX पे मैं देख रहा था, they have 250x leverage on BTC and I think 200 on ETH pair.
भाई
And
एस्टर पे आई
Aster
थिंक देयर
पे
इज 1000x या समथिंग.
Aster and Hyperliquid are very different from Sexes.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
why they are able to sell that off. Sexes
Yeah.
becomes a little different. So
Yeah.
that's a difference that you have to keep in mind.
So yeah,
ठीक है.
I'm wondering if these X's, these जितने X leverage हैं, were these constant in previous cycle as well, or this is a phenomenon that's developed recently?
यार जैसे जैसे मार्केट तेरी ये मेच्योर होती रहेगी ना, ये सब अभी तो मेजरली इस पे ऑप्शंस नहीं आए. लाइक वो भी
I
एक
heard,
बहुत
but
बड़ी
people don't
मार्केट है.
use it much. Yeah,
या पीपल डोंट यूज इट, बट
There's not much liquidity, yeah.
not
in
मत
yeah, there's no
हाँ.
liquidity there.
But
Yes.
as the market matures, all of that will also come into play. So जैसे अभी ETFs तो आ गए, राइट? अब तेरे leveraged ETFs आने वाले हैं, from what I've heard. So वो आ जाएगा. The next thing I think just remaining is options. तो वो भी आने वाला है. Realist, चल अपन ये बता दे perp dexes, difference between perp dex sexes and the basically the coming of Hyperliquid and how it's changed the market.
So perp DEXs and perps on exchanges are practically the same thing. It's just that the perp DEX is more of a decentralized format of the same thing. In an exchange, we all know, everything works on the basis of order books. So what you're essentially doing is you're trading against the market maker, or you're trading against the opposite side of the trade. So for example, if you're going long on something, so let's assume that how Tony mentioned, right? Like if you're doing maybe like a 2x leverage, right? You put in $100 and you've taken a $200 trade, right? A 2x leverage effectively means 50% asset price falls, you're liquidated, right? It's very safe trade. No trader takes that, obviously. For them, it's usually 20x or nothing. But 2x is just for the sake of the example.
अब अपने यहाँ 50x वाले भी हैं, 75x,
Correct,
50x,
75x.
right? So for the sake of this example, we'll consider 2x. Now, what happens is, in this particular case, and the fundamental difference between a spot market and a perp market is, so in a spot market, let's say you buy something for $100. How does it rise to $200? It rises to $200 because somebody is now willing to buy it for $200. That's how the price has gone up. So you bought something for $100 and that you sold it for $200. The remainder $100 has been created out of thin air, right? How has that been created? It's because an order has been matched now at $200 where somebody was willing to sell and somebody was willing to buy. That's how it works in the spot market. Now, a fundamental difference in the perp market is, here what you've done is, here you've not bought the asset per se. You're simply trading or speculating on the price of an underlying asset, right? You're not buying or selling that actual asset ever. Never do you own that particular asset, right? This is perpetuals. Futures are a little different. For those who trade commodities, they know that futures, you have compulsory delivery also at points of time. Even in equity markets, in futures, you have compulsory delivery. But here, you're simply just trading the price, right? You're just simply trading paper and speculating on the price. So you bought something at $100, right? You've put in $100 as margin, how Tony explained earlier. and you've taken a 2x leverage, and you've now bought something worth $200 on paper. You've not really bought the asset. Now, say the thing goes up in value. Let's say the price of the underlying asset was $1 when you started trading it, right? You bought $100 worth of it at 2x, so you technically bought $200 worth of the asset, and the price of the asset goes from $1 to $2. Technically, the price is doubled, right? But in this case, you effectively had twice the amount of money invested into the asset. So even though the price has gone up 2x, since you were trading not just with $100 but with $200 of worth that amount, so your net position currently is now $400, right? Out of that $400, $100 is what you've put in as margin. $300 is what you've effectively made, minus all charges, funding rates, everything that Tony described. Now, where does that $300 come from, right? In this particular case, it's literally been created out of thin air, right? Because here there is no asset being bought or sold, right? You simply speculated on the price. So where does that $300 come from? Now, that $300 is going to come from a person who's taking the opposite side of the trade, right? So you were betting on the price going from 100 to 200, right? Somebody else was betting on the price going from $1 to 10 cents, right? So effectively what you are making is what somebody else is losing. How you have given $100 to the platform to trade, which is your margin. Let's call it the money that is required for you to sit at the casino table. The person on the other end is only going to make how much you've put in. So that's how it's essentially happening on an exchange, on a centralized exchange. You are making effectively what somebody else is losing, and your order books are essentially working like that. What happens on a Perp DEX is you are effectively trading against not a centralized, but a coagulated pool of liquidity, right? Which is essentially been aggregated. Their liquidity providers are there. Their job is nothing. Their job is just to provide stables, right? So on a Hyperliquid, there are people who provide their stables, which could be a USDC or a USDT. Let's say there's $100 million sitting in Hyperliquid, right? And Hyperliquid is obviously paying them an APY or a return or an interest rate, right? What is that $100 million being used for? Now, let's say, like I mentioned, there are people going long and short. Unlike an exchange where people are going long and short against each other, here in this case, people are going long and short against the pool. So when people are going long and short, one person can only make what the other person loses. But in certain cases in the crypto market, that might get exceeded. So you stand to make 100 in profit, but the other person only has 90 to put up, right? That differential $10 is provided by this protective pool of $100 million. So the only difference between an exchange and Hyperliquid is that on the exchange, this pool of liquidity is actually provided by the market maker. The market maker is essentially underwriting the risk of every order which is being done. On a Perp DEX, that entire thing is being underwritten by this liquidity pool, which is provided by decentralized liquidity providers. That is the only difference. Everything else is the same. The trading experience is the same. The only thing on Hyperliquid is everything is verifiable because everything is on chain. Every order which is being matched is actually being matched on chain. On an exchange, you don't know like whom your order is getting matched with, or at what price is your order getting cancelled randomly. The Oracle price which is coming into the exchange is a complete black box. Like tomorrow, I can simply get up and say that the price of this asset should not be $1, it should be 50 cents, and suddenly everybody gets liquidated, even though the price of that asset is probably $1 on another exchange. On exchanges, it's a complete black box. But whereas on a Hyperliquid, the prices are coming through Oracle price feeds, and Oracle price feeds are verifiable on chain. So every block the price feed is actually being being verified. So those are sort of advantages of trading on Perp DEXs. We are still seeing Perp DEXs trying to build their sort of footing in the market that we are in today. But overall, I think Perp DEXs combined or just I'll just probably talk about Perp DEX. They probably just constitute 5 to probably 8% of the overall trading volume. Everybody still kind of prefers an exchange to do their trading, but exchange also have their own limitations. They have their certain limitations on for you to run API sort of trading strategies, which Perp DEXs allow you to do. So it's like it needs to be weighed out for the person who's trading. But yeah, Perp DEXs is nothing but exchanges with decentralized liquidity pools. That's it. It's very similar to a Uniswap versus another any exchange when it comes to buying a spot asset.
Well,
तो अभी
one thing that is
flash
different
हाँ
is one thing that is different is also the amount of so like you said, the limitations, right? That is a major play why people who want to go to Hyperliquid or Aster, if they would,
Yeah.
is because they allow you to place large order books with high leverage, right? Which your sexes don't normally allow you to.
Correct, absolutely. Because sexes have their own risk control measures because they obviously
Right.
have their own money to protect. Because they could be the
Exactly.
they could be the ones who are the market makers for that particular trade, right? And they want to protect that $100 million of liquidity that they're probably providing to any or clause or perpetual pairs. So yeah, it is the limitations which sort of limit people trading on exchanges. But yeah, still the volume is pretty low in term because I think institutions still prefer trading on exchanges. I think it's because they don't want to go through that learning curve of trading on a hyperliquid. But yeah, but the ones who actually get addicted to Perp DEXs just don't want to leave. And
yeah
it's because what Tony just said,
Mhm.
there are no bars and limits in terms of how much open interest you can sort of rake in. There are some limitations on total open interest because Hyperliquid also, even though it's decentralized on multiple occasions, has exhibited certain interference measures, right? Because in certain black swan events, they do interfere and close
They
positions,
have
right?
ADLs
If
in
they
place.
feel,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
बीच में
because
जब
they
उनके
if
वॉल्ट
they
को हैमर कर रहे थे जब
yeah, if they feel that somebody is going after their liquidity providers, they
yeah
will definitely interfere.
Yeah,
And for
that
them,
is
it
what
was
ADLs are for actually. That is what ADLs are for. When they feel that that somebody's going for their liquidity provider, as you say, or somebody's really going and winning against the market, that's what happens is when you don't have a lot of short positions against a long or a long position against the shorts, that's what ADL does, right? It basically
yeah
auto deleverages you and sort of either closes you down or
exactly closes
brings
out
your leverage
positions
extremely low.
exactly
Exactly.
exactly
yeah
cleans it up because there could be a certain situation where, for example, on a particular asset, a person is only short and there is no long build up on that particular asset. How do you pay the shorts? Because if the longs are not going to lose their money, how do you pay the shorts? The net shorts are going to be paid by the liquidity provider because the liquidity pool is there to pay out the net position, either net long or net short, which is not being covered by because on any given day you will never have a position where 100 traders $100 is short and $100 is long, right? You at times you'll have $90 short and $100 long. So in that particular case, there's a $10 net long position built up. So if the market actually starts moving up, there won't be enough shorters losing money to be able to pay the longs. So in this particular case, the liquidity pool is the one that sort of steps in. They manage this with funding rates. So in a situation where the market is more towards the long side, you will often see that the funding rate changes and often becomes negative because at that particular point of time,
Yes.
they don't want people to go long anymore. They want people to go short, right? So that the net liability gets balanced out. So, but again, for me, all of these measures exist. All of these interference measures will exist if you're trading with leverage. But if you're trading spot, there is no restriction. Uniswap contracts are immutable. Once deployed, nobody can change it. So if you're trading
Yep.
spot, just be
yeah
happy. And if Uniswap has MEV risks, but if you don't want MEV risks, if you don't want front running risks, go trade on CowSwap. And all of those. So if you're trading spot, you can sit and chill. Otherwise, yeah, if you're trading leverage, you have to be very, very mindful. Like Tony mentioned, it's not just about gambling. There's a lot of analysis that you have to keep on doing on a constant basis because trading is a job, investing is more of a hobby. Trading is a profession.
Yes,
Yeah, so
and this is
yes
something I tell
yes
everybody who tell me, "Hey,
कि
I want to buy leverage trade." I tell them, "Bhai, please don't
हाँ
leverage trade.
it's
यार
a
If you
full-time
can't
job.
keep looking at
हम
your
ट्रेड
chart
कर रहे होते
24
हैं
hours a day, don't do it."
हम ट्रेड कर रहे होते हैं सुबह मैं 6 बजे भी टेक्स्ट करता हूँ तो टोनी उठा रहता है कि हाँ
Because
हाँ देख रहा हूँ
अपना
मैं
काम ही
देख रहा
वही
हूँ
Trading
है
is a
भाई. That
profession.
is my
या
full-time job. I sit and
Trading
या
is a
trade
profession.
24
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
a day. That's right.
Investing is a hobby. You can still,
या
yeah, investing can be treated as a hobby or as a vocation. Trading cannot be. If you're doing trading as a vocation, you're losing money.
True. That's true. And that is the sort of people you look for, man. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
the market looks for these sort of people. कि यही आए पैसा lose करें, so traders make
exactly,
money.
यस
Dumb money, as
exactly.
we call them.
Guys, quick
Yes.
question about Flying Tulip. Is there something different that they're doing when it comes to perp dexes?
To be honest, I think what they're trying to build is uh, a directional neutral liquidity pool from what I read through their docs, like if at any given point of time there is a position which is net long or net short, they will iron that, or they will sort of negate that so that the risk on the liquidity pool gets diminished through some option contracts. I think that is what they were trying to do. I cannot comment on it unless or until I've read through the docs. But
वो तो
by the end of the day, something that I've realized is uh, simple is what works the best,
yes,
right? There's a
yes.
reason why Aave and Uniswap is 90% of all DeFi volume, right? There's a reason why a Hyperliquid, which is so Jeff, the person who started Hyperliquid, was actually a market maker, and he realized
Yeah.
that market making required a lot of transparency, which is why he opened Hyperliquid. He didn't create Hyperliquid for traders. He essentially created Hyperliquid to be an efficient market maker, and automatically he would probably draw the traders in, right? And that's what's happened. So I think simple works. These kind of unnecessary product
Gimmicks.
innovations are yeah, and we've seen that time and again in cycles, right? It's just one fancy thing to probably sell to a private investor, but
And
when it comes to the retail user, there is a reason why the amount of volume that we are seeing run through DEX is
yeah,
for a
और
reason. I
आगे
think
ट्रॉले तो
the
मारे
overall DEX volume is roughly about $20 million a day.
Biggest example is the comparison between Uniswap and PancakeSwap. I mean, when you're talking about simplicity, right? Uniswap is as simple as it could be, right? And PancakeSwap, since the very beginning, they were trying to do something different. Where did the volume go? It didn't go to PancakeSwap. It started with
Exactly.
Uniswap.
Most of it is probably watch trading, which happens
Yeah.
on PCS today, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at Uni, and if you look at Uni, they've been, and I think Uni today, I think all DEXs combined today do roughly about $20 million or 24-hour trading volume a day, which is massive. And out of that 20 billion, I think about 80% of that volume goes through Uni, or at least 70% would definitely go through Uni. So I think simple works. Aave, so many people have tried to sort of change it and tinker with it, but Aave works. It's probably.
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere Aave today is probably, from a private bank perspective, I think it's probably one of the top 100 banks in the world, if you
नहीं, it
consider
was
a
like
DeFi bank to be a bank as well.
Yes.
ये जो
And
बैलेंसर का हैक हुआ था ना, इसके बाद मेरी फीड में ही आ गया कि नेक्स्ट इज आवे.
to be hacked, I don't think so. I mean, like, it'll be like a lot harder.
Aave has seen exploits. Aave has seen
in the
exploits,
past,
but those
but
exploits are they are mathematical exploits, which I think happens with DeFi anyway. So even with Balancer, it's I think the T-Bar Balancer is fantastic, and most of these smart contract loops are sort of mathematical loops, which are often edge case exploits. Often I've seen that protocols with good teams come out stronger after these exploits. And exploits today are nothing. Yeah, if you look at TradFi exploits, exploits are in the tune of $600 billion. Yeah. यहाँ पे $10 billion का हैक, मतलब बिलियन भी छोड़ो, यहाँ पे $100 million का हैक हो जाता, people start calling the space a scam. You look at what's happening in TradFi.
That's
Plus,
true.
unless the team has hacked themselves, वो भी होता है.
Oh, that's a different story. Again, scam. The name Ponzi comes from a TradFi player, right? It doesn't come from a DeFi player. So,
yeah, that is true actually.
Yes, true. चलो, आज के लिए इतना बहुत था. पर एक जाते जाते as always मार्केट कहाँ जा रही है? I don't know, like, do you think 98 का अपना, मैंने बोला था कि उसके नीचे क्या बोलते 50 वीक मूविंग एवरेज के नीचे थोड़ा जाएगा और फिर वहां से बाउंस करेगा. I sort of now feel कि it should retest that low or maybe go a little lower, like maybe 94K 96K जो तू पहले बोल रहा था. तेरे को क्या लगता है, टोनी?
मेरा तो वही 92 to 94K का I think है target, lower target है. Usually when BTC wicks like this, so I wouldn't call yesterday's जो दो दफा उसने 98 touch किया, I wouldn't call it a double bottom because it was basically within an hour or an hour and a half time. So usually ये होता है कि it reverses back. I think 103 104.5 तक का I think is the support. अभी जैसे last I checked, अभी मैंने देखा नहीं है, तो 103.7 से थोड़ा सा नीचे आया था. I don't know if it's coming down or it's still
104.2 आ गया.
104.2, right? So so my speculation is maybe 104.5 104.7 8 maybe. वहां से it should move back to 92 to 94K ideally, and I feel that is sort of a requirement for us to then move back up a lot more strongly. So that is still a play that I'm waiting for. Like, so I have, as like we discussed today, leverage trader. So I have my buy orders placed at on certain things at pretty low valuations that I'm expecting. So that should only happen if BTC touches anywhere between 92 to 94K.
I feel alts have yet to bottom. Like at
Because if you
least
see the odds, right? I
alt
mean, BTC moved from,
BTC pairs जो हैं क्योंकि dominance ऊपर
Yeah, BTC
जाएगी.
pairs are yet to bottom. Yeah.
BTC
they
pairs
have
are
to
yet.
bottom, right?
मेरे हिसाब
They
से तो
haven't
अभी तो
bottomed it yet.
क्या बोलते हैं कि वो जो विक करी थी पूरी अभी क्रैश में वो the alt USD pairs are pretty much going towards that low. They might not hit
Correct.
that,
Yeah.
but they might come very
Flash
close
crash
to
के?
hitting those flash crash wale.
Yeah. I mean,
Ooh.
They might not touch those
Yeah.
valuations, but
But
they will come
they'll
very
come
close to them.
within like striking
They
distance.
should ideally come very close to those valuations.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Because because dominance तेरी ऊपर जा रही है already उस दिन
yeah.
61% तक तो चली गई थी. So
Yes.
even if BTC moves up and then takes like a 2-3% correction, these things will keep going lower as we've seen in the past. Like जब
Yeah.
last time 100 से 74 गया था उस टाइम पे भी यही हो रहा था. So we'll see that. Narkundi market. You're the most important person, bro. मेरी trades हमने लगाई हुई हैं तो I adjust according to that.
इतना कुछ लेवरेज के बारे में बात करने के बाद भी
या भाई एक और चीज हमने लेवरेज के बारे में बात नहीं करी. चलो एक दिन किसी दिन उसका एक पूरा एपिसोड करेंगे ऑफ 5Ls एंड 5S एंड 3Ls के बारे में.
Oh damn. Yeah.
Leverage,
Of course.
leverage
Promise
token, yes.
लेवरेज टोकन्स के बारे में. सो या हाँ भाई बता दे क्या क्या तेरी क्या रीडिंग है.
पता नहीं. I think again वही 110 के आसपास जाएगा and again also will keep getting butchered.
यस चलो यानी तो 92 है यहाँ से पक्का. ठीक है. Realist is up only and he doesn't comment on price, just structures.
Yeah, I mean, I can only comment on two things. Like I've been saying, all BTC pairs. So dominance will keep on increasing. I've been saying from day one. We are yet to see dominance go up because that is what will cause perceived flight
Yeah.
to safety, right? Although that perceived flight to safety is going to be by retail because, as we've discussed in the past, OGs are exiting, right?
Yeah.
OGs are not in the BTC trade anymore, right? Early investors are not in the BTC trade anymore. It's very evident. We've seen a Zcash and an ICB pump even in these sort of markets, which are Dino coins, which are large MCAP coins. So early investor money is moving somewhere else. BTC as the safe trade is only being used by institutions who are essentially they are now the angel investors for the next decade, right? That's what they're doing.
And they're also
So the
selling to
flight to
retail,
safe-
right?
So
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
they would,
retail
right?
is retail volume is negligible volume, and they are now moving to flight to safety because see the odds that are getting butchered right now, right, and especially against their BTC pairs, it's not that there's large OG selling happening there. Rather, on the contrary, there's OG accumulation happening in alts right now. That's what on-chain data is at least showing. Secondly, on-chain data is very evidently showing that the OGs are exiting from the BTC trade, but yet BTC dominance is going up because the rate at which a BTC is falling is far lower. Because even though the institutions are buying, and they've anyway been buying for the past 1 year, that's anyway been a proven trade. The new amount of capital which is flying to BTC is this retail capital, which we've said from at least that's been my point of view from day one, is that they will now be convinced that BTC is the flight to safety, right? And they will dump everything else and fly to BTC. And the idea is BTC essentially consolidates for a very, very long time, does not go anywhere. But for me, BTC dominance still continues to rise till QE happens, right? So till December, dominance rises. All BTC pairs find a bottom around then. Retail gets sucked into the BTC trade. And then we probably see a broader market rally because the sentiment is too weak there for it to be toppish, and that's what I'm seeing from on-chain activity from a couple of Dino coins. And the wallets that are accumulating these coins are ones who've been accumulating for some time while they've been moving out of BTC. So smart money is doing something. It might not suit our narrative because, like I mentioned, 90% of CT today is pissed off because they've not made money because they've held through alts, right?
And there's also a chance ki
That
jo,
doesn't change reality, right? Smart
yeah,
money does not give a shit about them, right?
because
So they are doing something. It might not suit our narrative in the next 1 hour, in the next 2 days, in the next 1 week, but they're doing something, and I think that's what I'm tracking. So BTC is going to be a, I think it's seen the majority part of its gains that it could have seen in the cycle. The remainder is still under unexplored territory, which is why structurally I am up only mode when it comes to that. Yeah.
yeah. There also the thing is ki even if you see like the 2019 major, I think last time when QT ended, right?
Yeah.
I think that was 2019.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
QT ended, that is when like BTC hit like a low. So
BTC hit
BTC,
a top. All BTC
no,
hit a low.
no, BTC hit a low. Like it was coming off a top, but BTC hit a low when like a local low, basically when QT ended, along with your alt BTC pairs also. And
That
उसके
happens,
बाद
man. That happens. Yeah, we've discussed this also.
and again उसके बाद तेरे alt BTC pairs went up about say like I would say like जो तेरे alt USD pairs थे, they did like they went to their previous highs, and then they
Yeah.
again basically crashed back, and then
But
QE
but the crash after that happened because of 2020, not because of
2020.
structural weakness. 2019, when all BTC pairs bottomed, they bottomed. The crash after that was because of 2020. That
Yeah.
wasn't because of
But
structural change. So
yeah, and when QE
QE,
started, yeah,
yeah, because QE marks the top for a BTC
see,
and it marks
and
the bottom for all BTC pairs historically. But again, situations we have to see in what under what conditions QE has been called for.
yeah,
Because if in this particular case, there have also been scenarios where BTC has rallied even after QE has come in. Because
Yeah.
QE was not called for to address any structural weakness in the economy, because right now we don't know what the unemployment data is saying, what inflation data is saying, right?
are
So
you?
if we see that QE is in response to that, then I think the markets will react negatively. But if we see that QE is just being done to stimulate the economy, even while everything else is fine, I think the markets will react positively. But nevertheless, if we go by past data, I think, yeah, all BTC pairs should bottom within this month, because it
Next month,
usually
yeah,
happens while the shift from QT to QE happens, if we were to go with historical data. But also, there is a reason why the BTC trade seems overcooked, because Q4 of the post-halving year is when BTC historically
yeah,
tops out. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
technically have just 2 more months left for BTC. It does not mean for alts,
yeah.
which is why I
It's
also feel that the alt. So if you like MM says, right, you show me the chart and I'll show you the news. So I think that will happen in terms of, like, while BTC tops out, everybody's going to scream that BTC is the only safe haven, and everyone's going to flock there. So I think that's what's going to, and it coincides with QT turning into QE. It coincides with just 2 more months left for the BTC cycle.
The thing is that
So yeah,
they haven't announced QE as of yet. They've announced an end of
exactly,
QE, so they haven't
exactly,
announced
exactly.
QT yet, QE yet.
Yes, QE, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. ठीक है भाई, चलो, another episode done. Like, comment, share, subscribe, uh,
yeah.
abuse Narkundi, whatever you wish, like doing.
and
And
let us know in the comments what sort of information you require from us,
Oh yeah,
you know,
please.
yes, please.
so we can
Chalo.
maybe add that in.
All right.
Yes.
Adios.
Adios, boys. Take care.
Bye.